She's not the only one. As lawmakers scramble to strike a deal in the building behind her, millions of Americans hold their heads in their hands as the US prepares for what could be yet another shutdown. The 22nd full or partial government shutdown over the last 5 decades. A funding bill had been on the table. The reason it failed? Perhaps less of a why, more of a who.
Many weeks of negotiation with the Republicans, we arrived at a bipartisan legislative compromise. The Senate Democrats, the Senate Republicans, the House Democrats, the House Republicans, everybody agreed, and then it was blown up by Elon Musk, who apparently has become the fourth branch of government.
The billionaire buddies, President Trump and the man he's tasked with cutting government spending, Elon Musk, have given the Democrats an attack line you can expect to hear repeated again and again.
Well, I think he's president and Trump is now vice president.
President Musk
and Trump, we're still not sure which one is going to be the real president.
The power behind the throne? Well, on Wednesday, Elon Musk penned the post that began the implosion, writing on the platform he owns X, this bill should not pass. A couple of hours later, Donald Trump posted on the platform his company owns, if Democrats threaten to shut down the government unless we give them everything they want, then call their bluff.
This is the thing that really galls me. They've never had to worry about where their rent check is coming from. They never had to worry about whether or not they're going to put food on the table or whether they're going to be able to afford their critical medicine. But at the last minute, they want to yank a deal that allows Americans to feel secure about it. This is the problem with billionaires running the government.
After another failed vote last night, the inevitable blame game.
Very disappointing to us that all but 2 Democrats voted against aid to farmers and ranchers, against disaster relief, against all these bipartisan measures that had already been negotiated and decided upon.
The problem for Donald Trump isn't just the Democrats that didn't vote for last night's bill, but the 38 Republicans who voted against it too. Inserted into that bill was a plan to raise the debt ceiling, which determines how much the government can borrow to pay its bills. Heresy to fiscally conservative Republicans. Now, they can drop those plans to raise the debt ceiling, but what's been exposed here is the deep rift between the new MAGA faithful and the dyed-in-the-wool Republicans of old.
I am absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible. It is absolutely ridiculous.
One of the busiest weekends of the year for airports, and border staff may be about to have a drastically reduced service, and all non-essential government services could be about to close. But the negotiations continue.
We will regroup and we will come up with another solution, so stay tuned.
Will you drop the deadline?
For now, though, limbo and the prospect of not so happy holidays. Now, the discussions are still ongoing. There is the potential for a deal. But for anyone in the UK who thinks that the chaos is limited to just over here, think again. Today, the government confirmed that Lord Peter Mandelson will be the next ambassador to the US. Pretty soon after that, Donald Trump's former campaign chief, Chris LaSavita, tweeted out his thought on this. The UK government is special. Replace a professional, universally respected ambassador with an absolute moron. He should stay at home. Sad. That universally respected ambassador was Karen Pierce. People widely thought that she was going to continue in post. She's not. Keir Starmer has chosen to replace him with Lord Mandelson. That may not go down particularly well with President Trump.
Paul McNamara, thanks very much indeed. And the political consultant Frank Luntz joins me now from LA. Frank, it's good to see you. So much to talk about. Let's start with this quote from Chris LaSavita, senior Trump campaign manager, now calling the next British ambassador the kind of the key to the special relationship at Washington, a complete moron, right? So what advice would he give the next ambassador?
I would say Peter Mandelson is a brilliant political genius, that he understands how politics works, and he does represent the Labour government well, having helped to elect Tony Blair to 3 successive victories. And then he understands politics, and he has a good relationship in Congress with Republicans and Democrats across the aisle. He has a good relationship with the apparatchiks, that he understands them and they understand him. I think it's an outstanding choice for a country that still wants to maintain those close ties. And I would just suggest that with everything right now as we approach the holiday season, calm down.
Okay.
The
Quite
goal
different.
is not to get
Right, but it's quite difficult to calm down, isn't it, Frank, at the moment when you've got, the debt ceiling issue, when you've got a shutdown at midnight potentially, when air traffic controllers might be laid off. By the way, I think Peter Mandelson will love the fact you called him a genius. It doesn't happen that often on British Airways. So there we go. Your Christmas card is definitely on its way. But tell me about the shutdown. I mean, the fact that Republicans are fighting each other, the fact that the Speaker, Mike Johnson, has been thrown under the bus by Trump, and they're not even in power yet. What does that hail for the near future?
It says that there's going to be a very difficult situation for America to govern. That when you have a 2-seat majority in the House, a 3-seat majority in the Senate, and a president that is determined to take control of the legislative agenda, which he did not do in his previous term, it makes the current situation very difficult. And we're going to be seeing this a lot over the coming months. But I need to emphasize to viewers, this happens in America again and again. We approach a shutdown, nothing happens, and with just hours to go, as it is now, they make an agreement. They have some sort of deal. But even if it goes beyond midnight, I do not believe that this is going to be a long-term issue. What we should be paying attention to is whether or not the president is serious, the president-elect, about cutting wasteful Washington spending. He appears to be doing so. And the fact that he's brought in 2 outsiders to the government to make this happen, I think the British audiences should understand that Americans are fed up and had enough with wasteful Washington spending, and they're seeking to bring about a change.
Okay.
Anytime you do something this big, it's going to be a problem.
All right, but the fact that Musk has led the charge on this and that Trump sort of jumped on the bandwagon when he woke up and joined him with his own social media post, is that a problem for Musk and for Trump?
It's honestly, you're going to get mad at me for this, but this is British media trying to stoke, and the Americans are doing it too.
It's not just British media. You heard the Democrats there calling him Vice President Trump. Come on.
I also said before you jumped on me that it's happening in America too. They're trying to cause a wedge to divide, because having these 2 people working together side by side does suggest that you're going to have significant changes, and that means you're going to have significant opposition. Can I articulate 3 key points? Number 1 is that the debt and deficit does matter to more than half of the public. Second is that 2/3 of the public believes that you can't cut wasteful Washington spending without cutting important programs. And 3, this absolutely was a change election. This is what people voted for. So why should we be surprised when we see it actually happening?
And can the rifts inside the Republican Party be healed as they actually take over power?
That's a very good point. Can it be healed? Yes. Will it be healed? I don't know. I think this is serious. I think the intensity and the passion that people have been covering this over the last 2 days is deserved, because you certainly don't want to come to office on January 3rd yelling at each other internally. Yeah. You want to be focused on getting stuff done, and that's not what's happening right now. That point is fair.
Frank Luntz in LA, thank you very much indeed. Have a good Christmas.